firing after I fire. You're up first. I'm for real. I gotta figure out. And we are live. You can catch us on Facebook, Rumble, Twitch, and YouTube.
And the private live stream, you guys. The private.
It's private.
For Diamond Studios. The pay-per-view for all the paid participants. Thank you. Thank you, Shadi. I'm coming on the last. So wait for me, all right?
All right, so we'll be right back with you.
Howls of a Baaz. I'm Ronnie Adams.
And I'm Jacob Casas, and this episode is called Riffs to Riches. So we were just with them a little earlier today, but we're on a private stream, so we're going to kind of do a little bit of things a little different today. It's going to be more on entrepreneurship, so we want to go ahead and I guess we're going to start with you again on this round. So if you want to give a little bit of information of the entrepreneurship side of what you do on the music industry.
In the music industry.
Yeah, how do you put it together? Like, how do you guys come together and build this business or this band that you guys have into a business?
Well, as far as it being a business, just from that approach alone, you got to figure out, okay, well, what are we going to do? And then you target it. So, if it's being looked at from that standpoint, say, for instance, with respect to whatever you, like, so if I wasn't doing this as a business, I would just do whatever I want because it doesn't matter. Money is not the motive. Okay? But since money is part of it, now you have to think of, well, who's our market and is there a market to begin with? And if there's not, how do you create one and make money from it?
Good.
That if you're looking at it from an entrepreneurial standpoint, that's the first thing you got to ask yourself, and then you have a little meeting, like, with your people and say, hey, so how do we get the money then? Because sometimes right off the bat, you probably ain't going to get too much money right away. It might be years, if anything, before it even happens. But the motivator behind it is to really like what you do, because that's what keeps you going. You have to do it, again, going back, since it's an art, you have to actually like what you do, so that is the incentive for keep doing it. And then you hope, and you keep working at trying to make money at it, you keep going at it, you may meet people all along the way. By the way, this microphone, I almost feel like, am I not talking?
I can
Yeah,
hear
you get it.
You guys hear me?
You get it.
I'm sorry, but hopefully I'm making sense to what I'm saying. You really, whatever it is in life you do, you have to really, really like it.
In the beginning.
Yeah, you have to. God help you if you don't along some point, because then you'll end up quitting. And then a lot of people have done that.
Right.
So if you're, if again, this is all if you're looking at it from an entrepreneurial perspective. Really, really make sure you never lose the passion in whatever it is that you do or put together.
Whether you're making money or not.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, because you could make money doing something. Doesn't mean you like it, though.
True. But most people tend to run or start a business because they want to be lucrative in it. But some, I would only look at it as the ones that don't care about the money. They already have the money, so they're doing it basically from a standpoint of where they just love it, But most people are running business and starting business, even where it's band or whatever they're doing, is because they see an opportunity in making money there. But it seems like in your case, you know what I mean. You're doing it all for basically just the love of it.
Well, when I started, my band. At that particular time, money was certainly not the motivator at all. I had already been making it in other areas. In the previous episode, which I'll loosely say again, There was a great incentive for me to do it because I felt the scene that I liked or the standards and morals behind it didn't exist as they once did. So I tried to revive that. If that now makes money, great. And again, look, at some point, no matter how much money you have, having money is one thing, but making is a different. So at some point, you still want to, because something could be very good, and then at a point you will cross eventually is, well, everybody loves it, right, or seems to love it. It sounds great. It looks
necessity.
yeah. So it sounds great. It looks great. Then, well, we should be making money now. Then if we aren't, then why not? So those questions eventually do come in any great endeavor. Do I feel like my band has crossed that? Absolutely not. No, I've spent way more on it than I've ever made up until this point. Anytime that could always change, but I'm saying up until the present time, no, I've spent a considerable amount of time on everything from equipment to setting up shows to make up for belly dancers. I'm serious.
Right.
I'm really.
Yeah.
I mean,
And that's something like our business, so we understand too. So we didn't always come into in the beginning of just being lucrative when we started the business, even this business. So we understand that. Definitely.
Yeah, but I knew it could be. But I'm just saying, because certainly there's not a lot of people. I would say, doing what our band does. And I do truly mean that. I don't know of any other kind. I wish there were. Actually, the greatest thing for me, years from now would be 20 or 30 other bands like us existing because we influenced them. Honestly, it's the greatest honor you could have is, because, the old question is, well, who's the greatest this or who's the greatest that? The greatest person in any line of work is the guy who influenced the most people. It's not necessarily who's the best technical or who's the most powerful. It's just whoever convinced the kid to pick up some boxing gloves. He's the best boxer. Whoever convinced somebody to put on some a baseball hat. It could be anything. That's
So the focus is not always just being lucrative, as you're saying. You're saying is being
influential.
an impact and having a influence on what you're doing and who you're influencing.
yeah, of course. I mean, as an artist, yeah,
Right.
because there's some artists they already have money. They
The money will come.
Well, maybe what I'm saying is a lot of people already have money. God knows where they got it or how got it. Doesn't matter, but that doesn't necessarily make them entrepreneurs because they have money. I mean, there's a lot of people that just had things handed down to them some way, somehow.
Definitely. Someone was born into it. We get that.
And they might be good people,
Right.
but that don't make them entrepreneurs or visionaries. So I think people that influence others are the true entrepreneurs. But a lot of people are judged by how much money they have because, if he doesn't have money or she doesn't have money, then she probably ain't too good at what he or she
And
does.
that's the society that we live in now. Yeah.
But I don't even have to know you. But if I know you have $20 million, he must be smart. Well, how did he make it? Oh, it don't matter. But he's got $20 million. But who's he influenced or who's he inspired? Oh, I don't know. But he's got $20 million. So you see where I'm going at with this? This is.
Yeah.
The word entrepreneur is like the word talent to me. It's very misused. We had lunch earlier, you guys and us, and we were talking about the producers on YouTube. Everybody's a producer now.
Yeah.
Everybody's a superstar, and where I come from, that word is very special, and suddenly it's been diluted. Everybody is this now, and everybody is that. But in the old days, you had to really be that person and be able to prove it. So that's an entrepreneur to me.
Okay.
Not so much, but the word again is so much tied to money. People instantly assume you're loaded with money if you're an entrepreneur.
Because you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's the way I see it. So I oftentimes don't like that word.
Right. So, and we're not going to dive into, the difference of, your opinion and what entrepreneurship and, society's opinion of entrepreneur, because like you said, you have your own opinion.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we think that we try to we label entrepreneurship as, people who are in the business field that has more than one business. That's what we consider entrepreneurs.
Sure.
More than.
So with our podcast, Howls over Baaz, we always talk about leaders over followers.
Leaders.
So basically what we try to do is influence the people that are leaders to even better themselves. Like, I try to surround myself with other entrepreneurs that can even help me build. And just from hearing some of their stories or hearing some criticism that can actually go towards what I'm doing, and that would help me build my business. So I've always kind of done that. So that's what we always try to bring to the audience that we're talking to is leaders over followers.
I mean, because we don't have a lot of people, a lot of business owners or entrepreneurs, as we say, that that are connected, that come and help other people in whatever field it is grow. So we're trying to help people that do what you do and bands grow their business. So they get information from you saying, well, how do we start this business? How do we get the management together? How do we get the group together? So people are looking at our podcast, trying to grow from the people that are in, like you guys are in your certain fields, to say something that'll help them grow in the field that they're trying to grow in. So reach one, teach one. So whatever you're saying is going to be able to help someone get started into growing their business or their where they are, trying to be like you and you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like we talked about before, there's a lot of like homeless people on the streets playing great music, but how do they make it a business?
Right.
There's an answer to. Oh, I can hear myself now. Thank you. Okay, there is an answer to all that. Okay, so I'll speak from the perspective of somebody that wants to do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
It could be so. Let's say a musician wants to start a band.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to give the one simple answer, I have it, and it was right when I used to live in Detroit, just before I came to California. That was around 2006-07. I have a very conservative cousin. This is an interesting story. It's not going to be too long.
No, go ahead.
Minute, 2 minutes. But it's real interesting because this was honestly the one single motivator for me continuing to do it, was to prove him and the other people wrong. In the early days when I was a teenager, and that was in the 90s, grunge rock and gangster rap were the thing, It was a great time, honestly. And then it ended. But the memory of those days is always here. And I remember that same cousin. He said to me, "Yo, you're still playing that guitar. You know what happens to musicians like you, right?" He said, "You'll end up dead on drugs or in jail. It's a dead end." He said it like that. And I guess that's kind of true for the most part. Meaning there's very little money in it. You probably will never make money in it. It'll just be a thing you do. But most of them are that way. I know I've had several musician friends that did die from drugs or ended up broke, or I've never heard from again. It's scary when you think about it. So how do you tell a kid that wants to do this to make a business out of it or a living, Because that's the reality, is you're going to end up being around those kind of people.
Mm-hmm. That rock star type of lifestyle.
Absolutely. But somehow, some way, and this was in Detroit, which was the farthest thing from California, Southern California. I mean, we're talking two different environments completely. But for some reason, I remember feeling real pissed about that. Like, oh, okay, I'm going to show you. And I did. Eventually, I moved out and this and that. And I left to California. And what happened during all this time is beside the point, because we could talk a long time about that. Later on, that same cousin, which is probably 10, 15 years after that, he saw me in Las Vegas. I played with my band. Shadi was actually part of that show. And it was a pretty packed show. Later on, he said, "I'm proud of you, man. You did it, And I'm thinking to myself, go screw yourself, I could, now you're proud, but you didn't know what it took to get here.
Right.
You're the same guy that, told me,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be dead or on drugs or in jail or whatever.
It's crazy.
You're a deadbeat, And he meant it, too. This is a conservative maverick. We're talking like go be a doctor or lawyer type. Don't do this. But after things look better, suddenly he's in favor of trying to support me. And so I guess the reason I'm saying this story is the motivator behind that was to prove people wrong. So I love being able to prove people wrong.
That's awesome.
Chances are, if I'm sitting at a table like this, maybe if I have to be the one that's the opposite. That's the entrepreneur I look for. Is the guy who has just a different idea, the guy who's not scared to say what's on his or her mind.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to believe in what you feel. And you try at some point to back it up with facts, especially if you yourself can prove them to be true. So in any endeavor you get into, stick to your guns, It's the greatest feeling when you can prove somebody wrong, or a multitude of people. And without saying it, I know I have in some ways, especially with my band. I see the reaction on people's faces and whatever else. But I just don't let it get to me. At the minute I get complacent, that's it. One thing Michael Jordan once said, we all know Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
He's an entrepreneur in his own right. because of what he did,
His brand.
It's
His
clothing
brand.
and shoes.
What he said once, I remember there was this game. I'll never forget it, but and I wish I could go look it up on YouTube or something, but I don't know, the Bulls were down by like a bunch of 30, 40 points, and he came back and like he smoked them. They won the game. And somebody once told him, or asked him, right around the time he retired, how the hell did you win all those championships? He just said, I played every game like I was behind. I never, but I wish I could find that and like just screen video it and keep it, but I can't. It was years ago I heard it, and it stuck with me. He played every game like he was behind. We were talking about Tyson earlier, how he got knocked out. Well, how did he really get knocked out? Was he just felt invincible, probably his own self. And Buster Douglas is always out there somewhere waiting to take your spot, So Jordan, I guess, didn't do that. He didn't allow that to happen. He always played the game like he was behind. So that's another thing if you're an entrepreneur. Don't think you're too rich or
That's
too.
good.
You got to play it like you're behind. There's
That's
always
great.
somebody out there better than you,
Yes, that's good.
smarter than you.
For sure.
Like he was saying earlier, you learn from them. You surround yourself with those people. And even, let's say, if you know you're smarter, better, richer, whatever than them, but it's okay. But there's always something they know that you don't. Surround yourself around people that want to. So that's the entrepreneurial spirit I'm kind of with.
That's fire. I want to rewind a little bit what
Yeah.
you said. He said, even in business, you have to play this game in business like you're behind. Stay humble. Don't act like you're on top of the world. Just keep playing the game. Like,
Yeah, I even heard like,
Can be
and
complacent.
this is where I lived by my business. When I heard, always work like if someone's trying to take it away from you. So I always pushing forward and always trying to make sure no one's trying to take it from me. Because I even in my industry, we had people that literally was trying to bring down my business just for being around because I was a new kid on the block. So I look at that as always trying to like push and keep grinding and getting new customers like someone's trying to take it from me.
Yeah, and I'm also the type of guy that in any situation, whether it's personal or business, could be dating somebody, whatever, I always hated rejection. So it's not to say always be negative in your mind, because if rejection comes, it's easier to deal with. But I kind of train myself to be that way. Hope for the best, expect the worst. You're going to get a lot of that in any business or field you go into. It's just if you think you're just going to roll through everybody, even though some of the people that we might love or idolize, even though the perception of their careers might give that impression that they just trailblazed everybody, but no, they went through some hardship themselves. But it's the
Yes.
media that makes it look like they just came out of nowhere and blew everybody nonsense
it
apart.
didn't happen overnight.
No, again, we were talking about Kurt Cobain. They came from Aberdeen, Washington. Tyson came from Catskills, and you should see how their upbringing was. And there was some family around them. They were part of a gang of sorts, and with some serious nurturing.
They had a pack.
They had a pack. They had some serious nurturing, and they had one single, mission. And again, at some point that mission gets swayed, I guess, or whatever. But the initial thing was that's what got them there. So in anything, in anything you want to do, this is to all the people that want to. How do you be an entrepreneur? Well, it starts from inside. You gotta, even before you think you know what you want to do, have that kind of mindset first. Try and really figure out what you think you want to do, and really make sure of it. Some people go to college only to find out 2 years later oh man, I don't want to do this.
Right.
I don't
Right.
want to do this another 2 years. Even though they could probably finish it easily, but why'd they quit? Is because they don't want to do that.
And they don't love it.
Yeah, you gotta love. Find something you really love. There's gotta be always something out there. But as long as you love it, they say invest in stocks that you love. Why? Even if they're losers, but since you love them, they're easier to deal with because chances are, if you don't love something,
It's gonna hurt more.
it'll hurt more, and then you probably already have invested in it, and it's gonna suck when you have to get rid of it because, man, why did I buy this? I didn't even like it in the first place. But chances are, if you like something or someone, you don't just ditch them right away.
Right.
There's so many ways to look at this whole entrepreneurial thing in personal and business. So it's really a mindset from the minute you wake up till you sleep. You have to it's a way of life.
That's good.
And the chances are, any businessman, I think I saw an episode with some of you guys interviewed recently. Could have been a nightclub owner, I don't remember.
Yes.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, chances are, I don't remember that interview exactly, but he probably started he started in garages, So
Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching that.
Yeah,
episode.
I did, and it was briefly, but he probably have something similar to say to me. He probably just really, really liked the gang of crowds, seeing, and then, hey man, let's take this.
To another
Yeah.
level.
You know what's crazy though is I'm like the opposite. So I feel like you still can. So I hated my industry. I did it because I knew how to do it. I was good at it, but I wanted out. But I learned to enjoy certain pieces of it, like the business side. I actually learned to enjoy that side, but the actual like the mechanic side, working on rigs and buses and fire trucks, I didn't like that side.
And I've been in that too. I was in the gas station business for a long, long time. The convenience store business. That's sort of a staple in our culture, being Middle Eastern. It is, yeah. It really is. It's, yeah, no, it just, but, and it was, bro, I met a lot of people doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And the money came in, like, for a while, it was just, like, never ending.
Right.
But no, it wasn't what I love to do, like,
Yeah.
But but it was like, if I had to do it tomorrow again, I wouldn't complain either.
Yeah.
But I left it again. Why did I leave it? Well, because the main thing was I was well off at that moment, and I wanted to do more with music, which was my real passion.
Yeah.
I was also and still am in some sense a recording studio owner, a big microphone collector. I made great connections in that world. That's a very, very crazy world. Mm-hmm. That's the one world you could spend $1 million and really have no chance of ever making it back.
No.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Ask anybody in that world. The equipment is expensive. And it's the one thing that it's very hard to. You can't exactly send your resume and hope Capitol Records hires you for an engineer.
For real.
Most of the people doing it these days is in their house, and
Right.
it wasn't that way.
And everybody's doing it also.
It's a long run type
Media
thing.
media is everywhere.
Yeah,
If every
It's way easier now than it was 20, 25 years ago with no social
technology
media.
is different.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You have to actually do the feet work.
I know famous
Pass out your stuff.
I know famous record producers now that are hardly doing much. They stay busy, but the money is not like it was.
Mm-hmm.
The labels are kind of all gone. There's only
Everything's independent.
But you're starting a new wave in the music that you guys are that you're creating. So can you tell us a little bit about how do you guys create this music in your head, and like how do you guys come together and put it together? Like, who's the creator of this music that you guys are doing? Like
The Western mixed with Western. Yeah.
Like how does it start? You guys just start. You guys freestyle it and come up with this music, or you guys sit down in a
Compose it together.
a setting and say, okay, just start freestyling. How does that work?
both actually, but mostly. As far as composing, well, it's no different than anybody, anywhere, in their own bedroom. Could be a dancer in her suddenly wanting to dance, and she's got her mirror and she's like, "Hey, man, I got some dance moves." Mm-hmm. Maybe a day or two later, this is a real thing, and she might have a dance group, and she shows them, "Hey, this is what I came up with," and it becomes a show. And in a musician's case, it's much the same. I might hear something in my head. I'm like, okay. And I grab my instrument and just start playing,
and everybody just falls in line with what you after you playing, huh?
Well, no.
So it's not an open genre. Like it's something that you guys kind of like made, as far as like the sound.
Not at all. No. This sound is not new. See, one thing people have to understand is whenever somebody labels something as new, that's not really the case. Something always came from something else. But
Niche.
yeah.
It's a niche.
Well, I mean, what's hip hop now? It's all auto-tuned. I mean, let's be honest.
Yes.
And there's a lot of covering of songs from before that are just being redone in a certain way.
Remade songs,
Yeah.
Which is fine. That's not the point. The point is, but it's not new. But maybe the arrangement of it was different.
Mm-hmm.
In our case, what did we really do? Up until the present time, it sounds a little bit like surf music, where the guitar has a lot of reverb. Staccato picking. I'm talking to musicians now. Anybody who's not a musician probably wouldn't know some of these terms, but that's what it is. It's guitar with a lot of reverb. The rhythms, the beats are Middle Eastern based. So it's not as if we invented any of this. It's just the way we put it together.
Now, where can
That's
they
all.
find some of this music? Can you tell our viewers, where to look for you and find some of this music? Because I'm sure they're interested.
So we have a link tree, where for the band, and I'm going to spell it out for you. And I'm sure on the broadcast, our good friends here will have it displayed. But it's basically Linktree Zaman. So if you go to Linktree, from there you can basically find everything we have. Yeah, so it's Linktree-Zaman Music. We've got everything from our iTunes up there to our Instagram, our Facebooks, and so on and so forth. Just about everything that my band has is on the Linktree. We have a new record out. We made a video for it recently with a belly dancer friend of ours. So yeah,
So
I
we
mean
have your
it's
Instagram.
Yeah.
We have your Instagram. They could contact you on Instagram.
Oh, they got him on there. Okay.
So at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, there it is. Right.
right. Yeah, and so there's also my own stuff that's just under my name, Rich Mansour. So if people, yeah, I mean I'm pretty easily accessible. If anybody wanted to send me a message, or please feel free.
What's the name of the video that you guys just dropped?
So it's my band Zaman, Zamman, and the video is a song called Guitar El Shark, which is our version of an old Omar Khorshid tune, an old Egyptian guitar player that we sort of redid. But you know, it is our own version. Nothing was sampled or anything. It's all us playing it.
Yeah.
And we took a local Los Angeles-based belly dancer named Jasmine. And we took her out to the desert and also the ocean, and this happened over about I want to say 2 or 3 day span of shooting. It was dead in the summer. It was really hot, you know. It was like 110 degrees. She really she was like the Muhammad Ali of the belly dancing world that weekend, man. She really brought her best that weekend.
Now, who shot the video? Like,
Craig Ryan and Jack Kraubuck, 2 good friends who've been in that business a while.
okay.
So how much would a video like that cost nowadays? Like I know that videos are different now. So I mean, from back in the like early 2000s, 90, like you know what I mean? Like
Right.
they're a little different now.
Well, I'll spare you the details of how much ours cost, but because it doesn't explain just what went into it. There's always all kinds of variables as to what something might cost, because maybe out of friendships to certain people.
Yeah.
But something like that would probably, you know, again, I could foresee it costing over 10,000, but I'm not suggesting 100 either. A lot of it has to do with the conveniences involved. So if you're going somewhere where there's a big production crew, and there's other terms I'm not even familiar with. In our case, we didn't have any of that. It was 2 guys that sort of pre-planned it, with my help and her cooperation, if you will. We just figured out a time, or weekend rather. We sort of laid it out. We knew we were going to the desert. We sort of had this home worked out, so that saved on some of the costs. If we had just gone there, like, not knowing what to do, in other words, imagine just driving in the desert and saying, hey, let's look for a spot. That had to happen anyways, but it was done beforehand. The production guys did that. Until they finally came back with a spot, we knew where to go, just what hotel to sleep at the night before, so we can get up at this time of the day.
Great management team.
Yeah. And I remember in her case, we got up.
One piece of it.
I remember in her case, we got up because we were trying to catch the sunrise, just peek over the ridge.
We're gonna play a little bit of the video right here.
Yeah.
So here we go. So tell us a little bit about that video, the location, things like that. Tell us a little bit about that.
The location, I really don't remember. It was close to Palm Springs somewhere.
Okay.
It was in that area, in all fairness. It was out there. It was like,
What time of the day was that when you guys? It was like dead heat in the middle of the day.
So, check this out. I remember the night before, we all four of us, we got a hotel, a small motel somewhere, and they told us straight up, you got to be up at 1:30 in the morning because it's a mile hike just up the mountain, and the sun peaks over the ridge just a certain way, and we got to catch it because it's beautiful. We got to be up there with all the equipment, everything by like 5 in the morning or something. So, all I remember is the night before we had to wake up, go to this. There was no lights anywhere in this. I mean, we're talking desert. It was quiet, and it was an all-day thing at that desert. There was a lot of hiking involved, and then I remember that same night we went back to somewhere in San Diego to shoot by the ocean, which is later in the video. If you the second part of the video has the ocean, but it was a grueling experience. But she did great. It was. Yeah, one of the most intense things I'd seen or experienced with not just a belly dancer, maybe anybody. It was again because we didn't have the luxury of fine dining and all that. It wasn't like come out and shoot a music video and everything's taken care of. This was not the case. This was very what do they call it, guerrilla style or
Gorilla style.
yeah. It was just like we went there. There was some homework done in advance by the two guys, Jack and Craig, but overall. It was just make sure you're very on it.
Yeah.
Imagine somebody saying it's going to be 110 degrees, you got to walk a couple miles and carrying cameras with you.
Wow.
But at the end of the day, I mean, I can watch the video and certainly remember exactly how I felt at that time,
So you did bring a guest with you, and which is also a belly dancer. Can you want to introduce yourself, or you want to introduce her?
Yeah. So this is my dear friend, and I've known her probably a good 6 years, almost since the time our band started. I met her at a local venue in Los Angeles, Nina Noor, and she's also a businesswoman in her own right, and a great dancer who's traveled all over the world. I'll let her tell you the rest.
Welcome to the stream.
Thank you, guys. So the entrepreneurial spirit of a dancer.
Let's talk about it.
That requires a whole lot of practice and dedication. And I could not tell you how many times I've twisted my ankle. Like it can be very grueling. I had said previously in another podcast, I ran out of dance teachers in my home state in Arizona, and I started driving one way to Los Angeles, sometimes once a week, depending on the dance course that was available.
And you wasn't getting paid either.
I was not. Well, no, I wasn't. I was, using my tip money and my gig money to make the treks and stuff.
And sometimes that's what it takes to start a business.
Yeah. Well, I was so young and I was so passionate about it. I was just like, I think what actually caused me to come to California was I was getting bullied by some of the older dancers. They were telling me that nobody liked me and that I wasn't good and this and that. I was like, oh, I'm not good? Okay. I'm going to go to study with Jelena. I'm going to go study with Zara Zuhair. I'm going to go study with Tamara Henna.
And Jelena is one of the best of the best. We met her.
Yeah, you did. That's awesome.
Shout out.
She's my
Shout out.
And I should point out that our band did do a show with Jelena once. She's a real true pro.
Yes.
If she happens to watch us, I'm saying it. So
Shout out.
She really is
she
a
was
great person.
She was a big pillar in my career. She invited me to Egypt with her, and then I had an opportunity to stay from I was invited by Rakia Hassan, which at the time was the top belly dance, oriental dance teacher in the world. Mm-hmm. So I was very, very fortunate, but it's, and that happened because people were saying that I couldn't do something.
And that's crazy because they try to push.
I mean, it's a motivator, when
Right.
it's like, oh, you suck.
Sure.
It's like, oh, I suck? Really?
do
Okay,
I?
watch me.
Right.
Watch me leave you in the dust.
Yeah.
And they actually try to push her out of that field, out of that type of business. And
gosh.
then now she's traveling the world and been to different continents,
Yes.
doing what people try to push her out from doing.
Yes, I remember I'd come back from Egypt and I had met that lady that was like the meanest to me. And we were sitting there and she was like, "What's wrong? Why'd you come back from Egypt? You didn't have a job during Ramadan." Ah, ha, ha, ha. And I said, "Actually, I got my first job during Ramadan in Sharm el-Sheikh, so it's not the problem. My family was sick. I came home for my family, you know." But I remember that like really shut her up. Like she didn't say anything rude.
Who
after
does that? I feel like
that.
they should feel stupid just.
A lot of people nowadays they'll project off on what they couldn't do.
Yeah.
I
or
think
what
she
they
just
can
did
make it
it.
on other people now. That's why a lot of people
She was
don't.
a
You know what
troll
True.
before it was a popular term, you know?
I mean? Yeah.
So,
And that motivated you to be who you are now.
yeah, I mean, still today, with anything that I do, if someone says I can't do something or I'm not good at something, that just
It's a fire
fuels-
starter.
Oh my God.
Exactly what he was
Oh
saying
my
earlier.
God. It's so,
Yeah, that-
it's like, really? Okay, watch me.
I
Yeah.
feel like you should be more worried if nobody's saying anything. If somebody's
Yeah.
like talking mess, I feel like you should
That means
just
you're doing
go
something right.
harder.
Right.
Because
They're
why,
afraid.
why are they so
Yes.
worried about what you're
And
saying?
then we got a lot
what
of people
you're doing?
saying stuff about us too. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Why are
Uh-huh.
these guys? Why are these guys doing a podcast? How old are they doing a podcast? But guess what? We got other businesses
And
too.
they want to be on it.
Well, you gotta
Yeah.
understand something too, as far as being an entrepreneur. And I'm not gonna take too much of your time, I swear. Just coming from Detroit to California was a difficult thing. Imagine, when you're in Detroit, you're kind of stuck there. Like that's your spot for some people. But I made a decision to get out, and people thought I was crazy. Man, what are you crazy? It's expensive out there, and you know how it goes.
And they still say that.
And it still is.
It is getting more expensive.
It's true. Why are you leaving your family, man? You got everything you need here, man. What's the matter with you? But when somebody says you can't do it, you got to try.
And she
That's
did that.
That's the leadership that you got to have in any endeavor.
And I think also, and another point is you never want to wish your enemies bad. You
No.
want to wish your enemies success, more success than you.
That's good.
And if you wish that, nothing can stand in your way, I feel like.
Even if you don't tell them, you just have this in your mind and in your
need
heart.
to, like, if they're turds and rude and ugly to you every time you see them, you don't need to say it to them. You can be quiet about it. You know?
Stay humble and
Yeah.
just say, I hope you do better.
Kill them with
But
kindness. Kill
I
'em with
really
kindness.
think in everything, like, that's how you can get the most prosperity, the most abundance, the most fruitfulness that can come to you is when you really wish the best. Like, anyone that I would train for dance or I would be dancing with and this or that, I would always wish them more success than me.
You reap what
And
you-
that's where your light shines the most.
Yeah, when you're kind and that really helps you. It comes back.
Well, when you're like real busy with your business too and all that, you kind of ignore them, and you don't realize how bad that actually pisses them off. But
Oh,
like you
God.
actually just forget about them, and that's kind of worse.
I mean,
You know what I mean?
sometimes some people, like, you don't know your power. Like, you bring other people together to talk smack about you, and they wouldn't be together unless it was for you.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I think that in its own way is.
That's
Yeah.
what-
So when you first got started, before you start traveling, can you remember back that first time when you on your first trip? How was that? Did you have to, pay for that type of business, or was it already, blueprint? Everything
I was 20 when I first came to LA for dance class.
Okay.
I had run out of all my teachers, and I was just trying to level up because those people were being mean to me. So, my first time, I actually came with a friend, and it was the only time that I went and did a workshop, and I brought someone with me. And it wasn't that she was bad or anything. It was just, I felt like it slowed me down. We're still friends. If she calls me, I'd answer. I'm not mad at all. But I definitely do much better when I'm alone. I don't have someone to hold me back.
Yeah.
Like when I travel, I can talk to whoever I want. I'm alone, so it's easier. If I'm with somebody, sometimes it's like, oh, they don't want to do this, so I'm going to be nice and not do it with
So
them.
you're traveling to these different countries by yourself?
Yes, and I don't know a soul.
And how do you get these gigs? Like how does it get set up for you before you
I
go?
think part of it is that I just am very kind and friendly, and I ask people.
You have to put in an
So you're
application
I
and
ask,
networking.
yes, and
So you're
you network.
networking a lot.
you know, okay, like maybe I'll know, like, okay, I know this one agency there, so I'm gonna go and say hello to this one agency, and then while I'm there, I talk to like the musicians or whoever else I can find, and I find out who are the other agents, or like in Lebanon at the time when I was there. Excuse me, this coffee is so good.
It is. I had a cup earlier, so shout out to the black coffee. I don't really drink black coffee, but damn.
So, like when I was there, I found these two agents that they both hate each other. They actually started working together, and then one ripped each other off, and now they have their own agencies. And if you work with one, you don't work with the other. But I was very cautious, and I worked with both of them. You know, very cautiously.
Yeah.
You know, and just I was respectful. Like, okay, I knew this one doesn't like this one. I'm not going to poke at him.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to be rude.
Well, that's good. I think that's great business.
Right.
Yeah, you're
that's-
just
That's
respectful.
what you should do.
And what kind of
Like you can work. You don't have to stop who you're working with because they don't like each other.
Yeah.
You can still do business and just kind of just keep it really chill between the both. That's real. That's real business right there.
Yeah. It's human relation.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, in business, I always say you put your relationship first with the person before the money.
Mhm.
Because if you put the money first, there could be $1 million deal that's coming, or I'm just using $1 million deal as a metaphor here.
Right.
Like you could, you know, do a deal for someone that's going to make you $1,000, and then, you know, you made $2,000 because you cut that person out, but this person is going to be later extremely successful, and you could have had $1 million contract with them
Exactly.
if you weren't a turd.
So you build a relationship first and let them know who you are, and they end up loving you because of the person that you are and how kind you are and how you present yourself.
Yes.
You know, there's a important point I want to make of what you guys just said right there. And again, I'm not here to harm anybody, right? We are, well, this person's name shall remain nameless, but I was involved with a Bell Answer some time ago, in which I thought very highly of her, invested all kinds of time and money in her, and one day she just boink split, and I didn't pursue seeking her legally or anything, or even harming her, you know, but we're talking a lot of money. But I know eventually that'll catch up to her. So she made out in the short run, but we're in the same world. Eventually people will find out what she did, and, you know. But who really lost there, you know? So she ruined a good
You
relationship.
missed that opportunity.
Yeah.
Big time.
Big time
So,
opportunity.
you know, don't...
Judging a book by the cover, some people do. They miss the opportunity by judging what they see first and not what's coming in the long run.
Yeah. And perhaps I was a little bit naive my own self, or I was actually a little bit vulnerable at the time because I was actually coming out of one relationship and get into another. But this relationship was also very, very personal, and it was both. It was somebody I really thought of. But they did wrong. So the point is, from a entrepreneurial standpoint, again, if your thing is to do everything short term, fine, but just understand you might end up losing out later, especially if that person does become something else.
Definitely.
How are you ever going to go back to them? Because you might have made an extra 1,000, 2,000. You could have made 20, 30, 50,000, 100,000 over a longer course of time.
Right.
So always think of what something could be, not what it is now.
The possibility.
Yeah.
And never bite the hand that feeds you.
No,
you.
but
Yeah.
I know that feeling. My hand's been bitten many times.
Right.
Well, even with friends, family, whoever, when it comes, I learned this. So when it comes to business, like it can be all fun and games. When it's time to sit down, go over the contract, whatever you got to do, whatever you're lined up with that person, you always make sure everything is done right.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
then there's no excuses after that.
Dot your I's,
So
cross your
yeah,
T's.
always make sure everything's
Yeah,
done.
and
correct.
honestly, I for years everything was always a handshake, and it worked.
Yeah.
And now it's like I
They
don't
didn't
know
like
anymore.
that now.
Hey, that's
No,
real.
it's
not
Before,
like that now.
everything was that
It's
right
different
hand.
now. I know.
Yeah,
Everything
it-
changed.
Yeah, and I'm almost at that point now where it's like maybe you just have to have contracts with everybody. Really,
You have
sure.
to. No, for
For
sure.
sure.
I know for sure we have to.
Yeah.
unless you have a gang of extortionists behind you that can threaten somebody, then
I
that
mean,
might.
everybody.
But
and
even
this-
then,
right,
even then,
even
like,
this-
it don't work anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't work because again, but it I think honestly it's best just to do that.
Yeah.
in this day's society, everybody can't wait to sue you for something.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I tripped over your rug. You got insurance.
Professional sewers out
Like
here.
that's probably
Yeah.
good for the audience to understand. Like as you said, it was more of a personal relationship with her. So when it comes to that, even if you have a personal relationship, really maybe like a girlfriend or whatever, if you're doing business with her, you still got to keep it business.
Yeah, and sometimes that word relationships gets misunderstood. I have a relationship with Nina. That doesn't necessarily mean we're dating, you know.
Right.
I understand
When
that.
you're
Yeah.
tight with somebody, you're tight with them. The specifications or the specifics of that relationship are beside the point. Well, you know, even then, if you're tight with somebody, you should it probably respects them more. Again, this is something I'm going
Just
back.
be their friend.
Yeah. Well, no. What I'm saying is, it shows them more respect. This is one thing if I can go back, I would do over, by showing them a contract,
Yeah.
because that tells them, oh man, he really does mean business.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
so those are some of the mistakes. I'm
First,
telling you, if I could go back, I would have done that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to interrupt. If it depends, contracts. Some people get really weirded out if you just throw it at them. You have to really give it to them in
Yeah.
a very gentle way if that's the way that you want to do it.
Right.
Because
That's
it can
what I mean.
hurt the relationship, and especially if they're from a different culture, and it's like
Yeah.
your word is their honor. And most of the time, that can be a bunch of bullshit. But
And it depends how that relationship is too. Like
Yeah.
you said, if he had a friend relationship, so he trusted that friend relationship instead of the contract.
Oh, and this
So,
happened.
and that's going on a lot.
Yeah,
in
this
this
happened more than
society.
once and
And
twice,
we've
though.
been
I
through
mean,
this.
And we've been through this also.
Like, we
So
literally
I understand
been
where you're
through
coming
this
from too.
really,
and it's a
really,
sensitive
like,
topic.
hardcore.
It's a sensitive situation.
yeah, because some people might think, well, you don't trust me? Why you got to make me sign something? So I
Exactly.
went through that. I know.
Right.
And honestly, if I could answer that question now, if that was asked to me, I would say it's because I have a trust and a feeling about you. Now let's do it right.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let's get this out of the way now. It puts us both in check.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Because
No-
I
no
look at
funny business.
You're right though, because I look at it like this, like say we're all friends and we're all talking and everything's cool. You put the contract in front of you, everybody comes business.
You get
And
serious.
as soon as you walk away from that contract, we're all buddies again. Like that's how I feel like that's how it should be.
yeah.
Because like we have to be business at a certain point, and then after that we can walk away.
So
from
check
it.
this out. We got a cookie jar on this table. I mean, rhetorically, I'm saying this.
Uh-huh.
And you're not supposed to be eating cookies, but everybody gets out of the room, and it's tempting. You want to just eat one cookie. That's what a contract prevents you from doing. Well, if you eat that cookie, well, you know what happens. And that's a lot of people in our business.
Good way to put it.
They put their hand in the cookie jar when nobody's looking.
Right.
It happens all the time, and they get away with it for years, maybe until like the one day comes. Contracts. If I could go back, it's the one mistake I regret. I would have had them all day long with everybody.
Yeah.
And in this day of society, everything is a contract, even marriage.
Yeah.
And it's like it's been before.
Total business now. I went through a divorce. I know she. I mean,
It's a
I-
business.
Lord.
Everything
So
is business
expensive.
contract day.
Ah.
That's why you get married somewhere else where like it's not real in a sense.
No. It makes more
Never.
problems if you get married in multiple
and I will
countries.
say this: if there's anybody out there
God.
watching that is an artist that wants to do what we do, if you want to do it for real, I'm not saying you can't date or get married, but this thing comes before anybody and anything. It's kind of like that thing you hear in the gang movies, mob movies. This is before everything else you do. You can have those things, but if there's an opportunity to do a show or do a record, you got to be in the studio. You can't say, "Oh, it's my friend's birthday party. I can't be there."
Yeah.
That's why we were talking about the music business earlier. That's why it's a business, and a lot of people that made it is because they never said no to anything. Well, or, you know what I mean. I had an opportunity. When there's an opportunity, you got to be there. Like we're here today at this podcast. Why are we here? It's because there was an opportunity to do it to our dear friend Shadi. So we're here. A lot of times people missed up on a lot of things.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 things. Suddenly, that puzzle you wanted to create, well, you got so many pieces missing, it ain't a puzzle no more. And this thing is a way of life, being an artist. If you want to do it for fun or whatever, that's one thing. But if you want to do it for real, in conjunction with everything I already said, you also have to make it a first priority before boyfriends, girlfriends, and wives.
It's
really
a way of life.
it is. No, it really is. Ask anybody that ever really, truly, seriously got into it. It had to come before everything.
Opportunity
you know.
is huge because you can be like busting your ass for years,
Yeah.
but if you just miss that opportunity because you just were lazy and didn't want to go, or you're like, oh, I can do it another time, because you can kind of people get big headed a little bit too sometimes.
Way too big headed.
So that if you don't show up to that one thing, and it could have been a person that you don't think much of because his name's not out there, or whatever the case is, things happen though. I've had that happen here with my business, not realizing, dang, I didn't think it was going to be that big. You know what I mean?
But I
didn't do that much. So
Yeah.
opportunity is everything.
But really, this is to me a way of life. It really is. If you do it for fun again, that's cool. You want to dance once in a while, play some show once in a while. But no, like I'm in it for the long run. You were asking me what the motivator is. It's that. It's to keep challenging myself. I definitely approach it from an entrepreneurial spirit.
I love that.
Yeah,
Keep challenging yourself.
You really do. I was in San Diego for 15, 16 years. I got 2 boys. It's not that I left them, but I left them. If you know what I mean. Because it was time to go. You know what I'm saying? So I came to LA because I felt Los Angeles was better for a guy like me with my spirit. In the long run, that's the
Nice.
place to be. It's the town of hustle. And I mean hustle in a good way, not hustle people, but
Right.
it's the grind. You know,
Business hustle.
San Diego was way more different. And I love San Diego, but it's more like a vacation town. It's you don't grind there. Everybody's on vacation almost every day.
Right.
So I felt it was time to come up here and do it for real.
And,
So
and keep going.
It's that kind of spirit. That's
Mentality.
you got to have that, especially in the art entertainment business. You really do. It's that cunning. And what was it I heard once? Be prepared for all the lies and deceit and subterfuge you've ever laid your eyes on, because you're going to go through all of that in the music business. Everything really is getting phony. It's hard to really decipher what's real anymore.
Right.
That's true.
But you just got to know what's you got to stand your ground at all times and take what you can get, you know, while you can get it, because ain't nobody going to give it to you for free.
Right. Get it back.
So I know I wanted to ask you, Nina, being an entrepreneur as a woman, you know, successful. Like, who are you as a woman that's successful? How did you become a successful entrepreneur as a woman? I know it's
Okay.
different for men than it is for women.
I don't really see how it's different.
You don't?
I think depending on the field that you're in, but I think all fields when you're hustling, it's a numbers game. So like, okay, when I was in Dubai, I started with one agency and I didn't like the quality of their gigs, and I was like, I don't want to work with them. I don't want to work in these places, so I'm to go off on my own. And I did the numbers. I could make more if I just went off on my own. It might take me a little while. So what I knew that I have this rule that if I promote something or I'm going off to like kind of prospect, if you will, like I maybe will call 10 people and one will work with me. So I made sure when I was in Dubai, I called 10 people a day and said, hi, I just moved here from Los Angeles, Lebanon, and I'm a belly dancer. And I would say, like, I must have done that for 2 months. I was booked really quickly.
I so respect that.
Man, that's a hustle.
But it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
So like, you have to know, okay, for like doing a show, let's say I put together a show for some friends that were coming through town. They wanted to do a show. I said, well, the dance community in Phoenix at the time wasn't really very supportive of each other. So I said, so then this was back in 2010. There was a bar in downtown Phoenix called Alice Cooperstown. And I did a show there. And I must have pulled in 300 people. But I did that because every day I went out. I was so, like, I didn't want to be embarrassed and have no one show up to my friend's show that I was putting on.
So she promoted it herself, too.
I went every day somewhere. I remember I took my high school friend and I made him pass out flyers with me, like in Phoenix Downtown Art Walk.
Listen to this. If you want to be an entrepreneur, this
Yes.
is real
Yeah, like,
entrepreneurship
but
stuff right here.
I printed 300 pieces, okay, of paper, and I said, okay, 30 of these people are going to come. And I really did have a bunch of people that came from the art walk. I remembered them when they walked through the door.
This
Wow.
is that's
And-
big. That's big.
Yeah.
I mean, I had called like the Arab TV that was local in Phoenix. They came to film. I made friends with a guy who owned a magazine. I don't even remember the magazine's name now, but he was the owner of it. And we would go out and he would invite me to parties and I would be with him. And because I'm with him, I'm doing this event. So I have more clout, and then more people are coming, more people are talking to me.
That's what's up.
This is where the real hustlers come from.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people don't even understand what she's doing, how much of a hustle it is.
Because
You got to forget about embarrassment. You got to forget about all that.
That's good.
And just think about the grind.
I
That's-
made
you gotta
friends
forget about
too.
if no one's
I didn't-
helping me, I gotta do it myself.
That's how it is with the club thing.
Yeah.
I literally got to even doing with the house over. You got to hit people, even though you don't want to. You might feel like you're bugging them,
What does Rico
but you
do?
still have to.
We
You
even
still have to hit
covered
them
what
up
does
though.
Rico do.
We're gonna get to it.
We're gonna
Yeah, let's
cover
hit up
Rico.
Rico. Cover Rico.
Yeah.
So
But before we get to Rico, I do want to ask one last question, you know, because I'm sure people want to know, like, you know, when you getting ready to go or do your work at these jobs, what type of venue are you dancing at? And what's the difference between the venues there or in here? Are they the same type of venue?
They're essentially dinner shows.
Dinner shows?
over there too. Like there could be like a theater here or there, like theater
dinners.
performances, but like in Dubai, they have a lot of tourist shows, like in the desert. They call them safaris. I hated those. I'm like.
It's hot
driving.
there too, though.
Like in the
No,
sand, like
you
in the
just
sand.
get you just get the
you were literally in the-
scorpions get in your costume.
Oh my
the scorpion
god!
got in my costume. There's no way in hell I would ever do that again.
So you were in the sand, or
yeah,
was
I was
like
in the sand. Like, and then the jeeps take you there, and
Sand dunes.
the sand dunes, and it's
I
like
read when they
I
almost
cannot do that. That
killed
makes me sick. Makes me sick, and I scream.
Yeah,
in the
Scorpion,
car.
the scorpion part just got me.
I'm not a very. I can't control myself when I'm freaking out. I'm gonna scream.
So there's outside venues, and there's dinners, and there's theater venues. Is that something like you do here too? Also?
Yeah, you have the same thing. Weddings there as well, corporate
Weddings.
events. It's basically the same thing, just in another country.
Gotcha.
I mean, maybe you have you have more, depending on the event, you would have more people from a certain culture, but you have that here too.
Okay. And it's a lot of it, mostly in Los Angeles, correct? Like where
You
the
have
venues
you have a lot of communities in Phoenix. You have communities in San Diego. You have communities in San Francisco, and you have restaurants and Arabian dinner show houses, if you will. Like, I have friends that teach in community colleges, and they do shows at the end of their courses, with guest dancers. So
you're still taking gigs, so you want to shout out your Instagram and stuff like that if someone needs to call for you.
Promotion
for,
time,
I like
promotion time.
coaching. I like coaching dancers.
Okay.
So
you're getting to the teaching field now.
I prefer. Yeah, it's really
So if,
nice.
if you
It's
need
really
a teacher,
rewarding.
so if you need a teacher, she's willing to,
Well, I still do shows, like events and like theater stuff. I'll do, but
Okay.
like I feel like after so much like dancing, like in dinner shows and this and that, it's like gets kind of boring. So then you look for the next level, kind of like what Rich says is he got tired at San Diego and then he moved here to go to the next level. So
Well, no, I should point out, I didn't get tired of it. It was a sacrificial decision. Again,
Oh.
I go back to saying way of life.
you're-
You have to sacrifice things you love. There's this old saying like, if the mirror ain't broken, don't fix it. San Diego, on a personal note, it kind of was broken for me, but it wasn't. It was still a great place. But this to me is very important. That's a number one priority, the music. So it just made more sense to come up here. So at that point, that was simply the main reason.
I want to do a quick shout out real quick to Shadi.
Yes.
Shadi.
Oh, yo, hold up. Let me get my camera ready. Hold on.
Diamond Studios in the house. We finally get to hear from
The man himself,
the
Shadi.
man himself.
Yeah, and we thank you for being here. We thank you for
Inviting
giving
us.
us to be here.
he invited us. We need to
That's
give
right,
him a
yeah.
nice round of applause.
that's
Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Are amazing. Thank you. So, love, peace, respect will inspire others to do the same. So just remember that, you guys, whoever is watching me, let me get on camera. Love, peace, respect will inspire and motivate others to do the same.
For sure.
Remember that, you youngsters. Work hard. Make that money. Save that money. Invest that money in yourself. That's the only way you're going to make it. That's the only way.
Fire.
Back to Jacob.
Fire.
We appreciate that, Shadi.
Fire.
Yeah, man.
She said invest in yourself. That's important because a lot of people don't invest in themselves in a lot of things. Some people are just, they spend more time trying to please others, and, those are the kind-hearted people. But, and sometimes you have to invest and put, some of your efforts back into yourself.
You got to water your own plant.
Water your own plant.
I mean, at the end of the day, business is war. I mean, like it or not, it is what it is. I've been through it. You can even have friends that you go into business with, best friends, and power gets to them, money gets to them, and it changes everything.
Right.
You would never think. I've literally been through this, and it changes everything. So you got to always keep things close to the chest. Sometimes don't give all your secrets out, all the information that you got. You just can't give everything out because you might need it at some point, like I did.
Even your mental. Let's talk about your mental. Sometimes you give too much of your mental away,
Yeah.
and you need to woosah. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Invest in your mental yourself. You know, you can go so far into just business and entrepreneurship and just everything else, you know, concerning that, where you forget about yourself and you lose your mental.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's get to
Let's get to Rico.
Rico.
Rico the man. Look him
Rico
up
the
on
man.
Instagram. So and this is a new audience, but why don't you tell them what you do, who you are, and what you do.
And when to tune in.
My name is Rico. My Instagram is Rico _THA_man. And also we do the
DNR?
The DNRs twice a month for the ladies. So if you do want to be on the show, if you are interested, just give me a DM and we can make it happen.
Yep. I'll give him a little rundown.
Club promoter, Howls over Baaz promoter.
Yeah, like you said, club promoter, House Over Bass promoter. I manage a music artist, and also I'm into fashion, have my own clothing line, and it's just on the entrepreneur side of things, like they were talking about, everything.
Yeah, we had his artists in here before. Really good stuff, man. We had a couple guys that you brought in.
Yeah, 2 of them.
Yeah. So yeah, he does his thing. He's a good promoter. So we did an interview with a business owner. So basically, he is the man in Riverside. So he basically runs Riverside. He started stuff before there was really nothing there, and he owns the big clubs, restaurants, all out that way.
Prohibition, Mezcal, a couple restaurants in San Diego, and also out here.
Yeah.
So
tell us, how did you get into first promoting, just club promoting? I think that's where you
going
start.
out,
Just going out.
going out, and then once you become a familiar face with like the security guards and like the owners and stuff.
So you were spending all your money first getting in the clubs.
Right. I spend my money not on equipment, but I spend my money on, you know what I mean, just getting in the club, right? And bottles and
Bottles
getting in. And then when
Tricky.
right? If you want to use that word, yeah. But and then it came to a point where, you know what I mean, I don't have to pay to get in after you built that rapport with the security guards and the owners and the bartenders. And then one day, one of the guys that I'm still friends with now to this day, named Oscar Gutierrez. That's when I first started promoting in San Bernardino. He was like, "Why don't you just promote and bring the people, and I pay you?" I was like, "Okay." Back then, they were doing it like $3. You get $3 a person or $5 a person, something like that. And then I was like, "Yeah," and I just started telling all my friends, and then they would come with me anyways. I'm the one that's driving, so that's how it happened. And then it built and built, and then going to parties and talking to people. Like they think it's easy doing.
I was about that. That was my next question. How difficult is that?
It's a toll. Your sleep isn't the same.
Up all night.
Up all night. I mean, some promoters don't actually drink. I'll have a water bottle the whole time in the club and not drink. Me, I'm not that. I drink actually. So, you know what I mean? Like waking up, and then it takes a toll on your body though too sometimes. And then also mental.
And how often are you promoting these clubs that you?
Back then, when I first started, it was the only day that I didn't promote was probably like Sunday and Monday. Other than that, it was Tuesday all the way to Sunday.
So what?
Right.
It's Tuesday to Sunday.
No. I'm older now, so now it's only once or twice a week.
Okay.
That's about it. Other than that.
And how
just
lucrative is that? If you don't mind me to get into them finances.
Depending on how serious you are, I mean, you can make a whole living and just that be your main job, or you can not take it serious and then you can have a day job and then do that at night. You know what I mean? So it could pay the bills. It could pay house bills. It could pay everything.
So how do you get paid being a promoter? What are some of the avenues that that come your way? So I'm sure it's more than one avenue of pay. Just not bringing the girls to the club. How else do you get paid doing promotion?
It could be from having people buy bottles. I get percentages off of bottles.
Okay. So you got to push that too. You got to hustle that.
Yeah.
Once you get them in, you're not just promoting. You're just not getting these girls in. I'm sure the guys are buying the drinks.
Yeah.
So are you getting guys to buy bottles and girls to buy bottles, or guys to buy the bottles for the girls?
I mean, that's what you got to sell the bottles. Like buy the bottles.
Whoever want it.
Right. So you can get the girls. It's an image. The club scene is everything's an image. The whole thing is an image. You know what I mean? You deal with the fakes. You deal with some of the reels, but most of it is the image. You know what I mean? And it's for the girls. But nowadays, it's starting to switch more. Some of the girls is buying more bottles than the guys now.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It's
Like
changing.
I don't need no guy
Yeah.
to buy me a bottle. I'm a boss. That's how they feel.
Period. And there's about 4 or 5 of them in the
And,
section.
and Rich like that because he like that's how it should be these
Sugar mama.
days.
I know.
Sugar
He
mama.
said
Which
that
is how- where's the
earlier.
sugar mamas at, huh, Reg? Switch it up, huh? Where's the sugar mama?
Sugar mama over here buying bottles from
Buying
Big Rich.
Yeah. She's probably killing all of us right now.
Right.
All of us.
Hey, she walked in and said, "Who bought lunch?
Hey,
Right.
Next time lunch is on me."
No, I am generous. I'm kind.
Yeah, she was mad when you guys all left. She said, I was supposed to pay for this.
Hey,
I'm the
No, I don't
So,
use.
so,
I
so when a
don't-
girl
I
comes and
don't
says, I
sit
should have
and-
paid for all this,
No,
she's sugar mama.
hey, but
no.
100%.
but check this out, viewers.
I just don't want to take advantage. You know?
Ladies learn from her.
I don't even.
Ladies
You know,
learn
I
from her.
purposely on a first date. I mean, this is probably maybe some ladies are gonna get mad at me, but I don't care. I don't like to go to super expensive restaurants on the first date because what if the guy I don't like and he's spending all this money? I'm not gonna go home with him and sleep with him. I
he
feel
thinks it's
bad.
But did you hear, hey, viewers? Did you hear that? She said, "I'm very kind. I'm very generous." What I call that is, you have gentleman. You know what I mean? We call that a gentle
I'm
woman.
not a
No. Wait.
it's
Let
a
me
good
finish.
thing. It's a good thing.
It's a good thing because we have gentleman. Man that open your door is considered a gentleman.
Right.
So if a woman opens a door and say, "No, I got this," that's a gentlewoman. So if a woman says, "Hey, don't worry about it. I take the bill next time,"
Gentlewoman.
we call that a gentlewoman.
Okay.
Yeah, but
So you're a
I
gentlewoman.
like it when people open my door and
Oh, they should.
change
That's
my.
a gentleman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I get
by
really
you
mad if
by
they
you
don't.
coming in here asking like, "Who paid that bill? I want to take care of it the next time." That's
Guys,
we
we
call that a
like-
But it doesn't
gentlewoman.
matter if you made more money than the dude. Like, as a real man, if the dude was getting minimum wage, he should still pay for your dinner if you go out.
No,
Right.
Like,
thank
that's
you.
lame if you don't do
But
that.
it's just a
Like,
thought
it's-
that counts, though. That we want the
Yeah.
appreciation. Like,
But that
just as long as you-
character of a gentlewoman
He knows
should
he got a
not
sugar
be-
mama later. I just,
I'm not anyone. I'm divorced.
So she's a single sugar mama.
That's what's up. But back to the club scene. Let's get
you gotta come to the DNR now.
right.
Right.
Hey, but we still.
Half of it.
Hey, but viewers.
Right.
But viewers, it's okay to be a gentlewoman. Men should start saying that and bringing that to the light. Thank you for being a gentlewoman. Maybe they will start respecting that.
Yeah, we appreciate
You know what I mean? A lot of people don't hear that. Oh, that's just a gentleman. He's just a gentleman. But what about a gentlewoman?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We should start implementing that into our.
That's called sugar mama. That's already there. That's
Hey, Rich call it the sugar mama. You know what I mean? But it goes
Which
both
is all,
ways.
I want a sugar mama.
But it goes
I'm
both
gonna
ways.
order the most expensive thing next time and then just leave.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
We both leaving. I'm right behind you. Start the car.
Start the car. He's like,
That's what's up.
but the big
The
cut is
lobster and
full, it's
steak
still
and just
bounced
have
out.
2 bites and then leave.
I don't like this.
So back to these women buying bottles at this club. You know, so a lot of women are buying bottles and men are buying bottles at this club. So that's how you're getting paid from.
It's a percent. It's
a
another way.
percentage.
You know what I mean? 'Cause some clubs, you know what I mean. You just promote the flyer and you just bring the people, and you know what I mean. You'll get paid. You know what I mean? That's just that avenue. Then you have the bottle part of it. Then you have some clubs that have you where you just post the flyer. You can just pay.
I was gonna say one thing. Imagine going up to a girl's table and drinking all their alcohol and leaving. That would be the dopest thing ever. Like, that's
I'm
usually
sure
what
it
happens the opposite
happens.
way.
I'm sure it
I
happens.
don't know that ever happening.
I'm
That's
pretty.
why.
Yeah, like you said, I'm pretty sure. I couldn't be me, but you know what I mean. Like,
I'd be like, dang, this is the coolest thing ever. I didn't even know this was real. I
He
didn't
like
just-
good looking out.
right.
I appreciate y'all. It was nice meeting you.
Tell them I'll be back. I'm going to the bathroom and never come back. You know what I mean?
Like, I'm here just drinking your alcohol. You know what I mean?
I have one question for you. So, do you have anything in LA? Any?
OC, LA.
Me and Nina are from there, so.
Have
Yeah,
you
we'd
heard
come and support you.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Club Ballot, or La Moda?
They got Prohibition
No.
out there too now, though.
The clubs?
Here's another Prohibition out there too.
Oh yeah, the Prohibition.
Yeah,
The Prohibition. It's another
Downtown.
Prohibition in LA, downtown LA.
Uh-huh.
It's called Club Prohibition.
Okay.
It's dope too, dude.
Just
the guy we
before you
interviewed,
leave,
he
give me
owns
your
that.
Yeah, for sure.
The interview you saw. with the owner of the clubs. That's him. He owns those clubs.
That's the one of the clubs I do in Riverside. His name is Danny.
The one podcast you saw with us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he owns those clubs.
Got you.
Yeah.
Most of downtown Riverside and the restaurants, and then even he has a I don't know, I'll get you the information. He even has a new restaurant in San Diego.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It just opened a couple months ago.
And it's supposed to be like the livest spot in San Diego right now.
Yeah.
So
He's
it's
everywhere.
just that's the brand Prohibition.
No. He
No,
has two
Prohibition.
though.
Yeah, that's the main club.
That's the one he has two of. Two
Yeah.
Prohibition. So that's the one he's building off of. But he does have other little
Yeah, he has
restaurants.
restaurant. Another club. What's the other one called that we did the podcast at?
That one's called DTE, Downtown Experiment. It's in downtown Riverside, and then Club Prohibition is like kind of like based off of like the old Prohibition style.
Yeah.
So when you walk in, you have like it's almost like a brewery. You get the vibe.
The name alone is cool, man. When you walk in there, the whole vibe's cool.
And that's in Riverside.
Yeah.
That one's in Riverside.
But he has another one in Hollywood now, though, or LA.
LA and
Yeah.
LA. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about your business and your entrepreneurship. So where are you going with this production that you have? I see
It's
you.
right on you. She's laughing because it's right on her.
I'm drinking coffee.
I've seen you expanding from the club scene to now the podcast scene, the media the scene. What's your goals and inspirations and aspirations to what's next? Like, you are in the music field also. What do you love mostly about what you're doing?
I even want to build. What do you want to build?
What do you want to build? Where you're going with it?
I love about what I'm doing just because making other people happy makes me happy. Like, or you know what I mean? If I
The
see
management part about it is
and most of the time, I mean, even what I'm doing right now with my music artist, he wanted to make a contract. I was like, you know what? You don't have to pay me because he wanted me to get a couple DJs that I knew to play his music in the club, and he was like, yeah, I'll pay you. And I was like, no, you ain't gotta pay me. I was like, I believe in you, bro. You my friend. Like, I don't want any money. I'll do it just because. You know what I mean?
Don't start Suge Knighting people.
Right. I'm not trying to end up like him. But yeah, but he was like, no, I'll make a contract, and then we did the contract or whatever. So for me, it's not about the money. It's about, you know what I mean, building the relationship. Like I said, now I'm older. So I'd rather it be like, I'd rather business partners than friends, and then we turn into friends, and that turns into family. That's how I see it when I do business. You know what I mean? So, and then just I'm getting older, so getting out of the club scene, doing the podcast thing. You know what I mean? More of a business aspect of it. I want to just reach different avenues.
Like Rich was stating earlier, being an impact in people's lives.
Yeah. So and I see it when Jacob told me about it, and you know what I mean, and then what could be reached and who could be reached. You know what I mean, is interesting to me and something that I want to do. Ultimately, you know what I mean. As far because it's not about the money, but at the end of the day, we all need money. We all want money,
Definitely.
And we need to do that to impact certain people. So when I want to do things for people, it's going to cost money.
Right.
You know what I mean, to do it.
And getting them seen too.
Right. So.
Well, like Rich said too, like, okay, so you doing your band, doing your music, and you impacted. You actually one of the biggest guys in you said a monster in your industry saw or heard of you, and he did work with you.
Yeah, and again, I think a lot of at least initially, a lot of that had to do with I reminded him of somebody that he himself started him out. So
That's the thing. You impacted him. That's
yeah,
cool.
I just think he just said you brought me back 40 years. You brought me back to when I was starting out because I haven't heard or seen anybody that plays like him. And believe me, I didn't have the intention of playing like anybody. I just do my thing, but I can see the similarities.
Yeah, but that comes from like passion for what you're doing. You know,
Yeah.
it's not gonna come if you were just doing it like, hey, I'm just gonna just do this thing just to do it. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, music's a little different, but even doing certain work, like, it's not gonna like passion is different when you're doing that in your business or your work.
Well,
You know?
I feel just sitting in this chair because again, thanks to Shadi, probably the reason I'm invited here was because he liked me as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the music is great. Maybe the band is great. I'm sure they are, in fact. And I'm speaking about this from the perception of, say, the audience, not myself or an internal guy. But I think at the end of the day, you asked earlier, how did you get here? Well, one thing just led to another. At some point I made, like I said, Shadi's acquaintance. That became a friendship, and then he played with my band, and then so on and so forth. And then next thing you know, he says, hey, man, I started this podcast. This is all part of that entrepreneurial spirit. It's a process. It's a way of life
Yeah.
being that way. You guys at some point, said we're gonna start this podcast. It was probably just a fun thing, and now it looks like it could be a much more grander, marvelous thing.
And you right about that. You 100% right about that. Because look, I mean, he had the idea.
Yeah.
And me, I'm like, podcast, okay. Like, I'm supporting him. You know what I mean? And I see how much he loves it. You know what I mean? And he trying to make me love it. So I'm starting to love it too.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Love it.
Yeah, he like,
Love it.
Ronnie, he
He met
excited.
Shaddy and now they're blowing up.
You're right.
And believe me, I feel the same way about it too. Again, I mentioned earlier, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, I did a podcast myself where I was the host. I did a show with a belly dancer, and I interviewed her.
Yeah, we did that one. Yeah.
And I believe me, I wasn't even supposed to be the host, but the host that was supposed to do it. Again, we leaving names out
He
here.
wanted to get paid.
He
100%, no cap. No
That's
cap.
right.
100%. Keep it real.
He wanted
You know,
to
it's
get-
always
Turn it into Ronnie. You turn it into Ronnie. You turn it into Ronnie.
Roddy, calm down, Roddy.
Ronnie.
I have my viewers up in here, bro.
Yeah.
Turn it
They're
into
all wearing my
Ronnie.
pants today, my apparel, bro.
Right.
No cap.
Right.
He even said Roddy.
I almost said Ronnie. I had to look up real quick. I was like, wait a minute.
But he's right, because in the beginning, so you might not get paid for everything you do in business.
Exactly.
It's not, and, sometimes you doing it for the love of it, like you said, and sometimes you doing it for the future aspect of it. Like, eventually this could be something. You know what I mean? I didn't come into this podcast like, oh, how much am I going to get paid? When are we going to start getting paid? You know what I mean? You have time to, a little bit of time to build something in your life or build a future for something. So put that time into where you have time, and see where it can go. But people automatically want to get paid for something immediately. I'm worth this and I'm worth that.
And that's what happened here. But in my mind, I'm like, maybe I can
She
use
laughing.
this. Maybe I can use this as an opportunity.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm just going to interview. Her name is Carmen Fregosa, the person I interviewed. Again, a revered dancer in our world. So I used the opportunity to interview her, and I instantly got people saying, "Man, you should have your own podcast, or at least be part of one."
Yes.
Believe me, I didn't foresee that at all happening. But even Shadi was like, "Man, you're really good at this. You ever considered it?" I said, "No, but maybe I should now." But again, we're going back to how some things start. If you have enough good compliments along the way, maybe you should take things serious at that point.
Yeah.
But don't get too egotistical.
That's what it was.
And you said it so gracefully, and we almost miss it. It's the opportunity.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Something could be an opportunity. Just
Well,
take a chance at the opportunity first before you start thinking about money.
So you guys were an hour and 23 minutes in. Let's wrap it up in the next
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
5
do
minutes.
that.
We got 5
And
minutes.
just to point out another thing again for the entrepreneurs out there, soon to be, right? This guy, his problem was he's not a bad guy, I'm sure. But he did this the day of. Hey man, I can't do it, but unless I get paid. This is the day of, and I'm like, oh man, that's.
That's the way you handle business.
I mean, the day of. She
The
just.
11th hour.
Yeah, she's
Right.
We're
already.
gonna make up our mind.
Where's your damn resume?
Yeah.
What can you do? How good are you?
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, man, that kind of sucks, The day of, you're telling me this girl's already heading over there, and I'm heading over there, and you're saying you can't do it. So I had to make it quick, Like, okay, I'll just interview her myself. I came up with the questions on the spot. So again, being an entrepreneur in any situation, sometimes you have to make impulse decisions.
Yes, sir.
So we did that. Luckily, of course, that's a world I'm all too familiar with, so I knew just what to ask her. But, again, that was an opportunity. That's an example of an opportunity sometimes. In his world, I guess it's the nightclub world, there might be an opportunity to become a manager at a nightclub rather than the security guard, but maybe because the manager screwed up, that's your opening.
Yes.
There's so many ways.
Opportunity.
There's so many ways, and you're not being a sleazeball about this. You're not, this is just, hey, man, the other guy screwed up. You can step in and talk and.
From the janitor to the CEO.
It's happened.
Yeah, there's no sleeves.
happened.
What it is, it's a race. I mean, it is what it is. Like if someone messes up, you take that spot. I mean, I look at that as it is what it is. Especially if you're on your own business, I don't look at that as because I mean, man, when I first moved in this building, all the guys around me were hating. I'm talking about all these guys were in business for 20 to 40 years, driving by my shop, taking pictures, just looking what I had in here, trying to get my customers, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, but by me, I didn't care what they were doing. I thought it was funny. Like, go ahead and try. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't bother me at all. I'm still going to go and do what I need to do. You don't scare me in any way, shape, or form. So, I had people calling me up, even threatening me, right? You remember that? I had people calling me, threatening me. Like, hey, stay away from my customer. I didn't know it was your customer. And second, I mean, it's not going to happen. Like, I'm going to do what I need to do. I don't know you. I can care less who you are. So, I mean, you can't be afraid in business. You just can't.
Yeah. And I want to say one more thing. I don't know how much time we have left, but
We got 2 minutes.
this is probably the most important thing you might hear all night, right here. I lived on 8 Mile in Detroit, for years. This is where I grew up. In one of the worst cities, neighborhoods in America. For years, I grew up there. And you ever heard that phrase, California dreaming?
Mm-hmm.
You may as well put my face on that phrase, because that was me. I did make it. I went from the worst to the best, and back down too. It went back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
But it all came down to I had a belief and a vision, and I was very resilient in that, and nobody was gonna tell me otherwise. Even if I was wrong, I just had to right. So I left everything to come out here from the worst to completely different environments, and like I say, if you have a belief and you're resilient enough, just go out and do it. Because I'm telling you, I went from that, and when I came to California, I remember staying in a Motel 6 that first month. And then a studio apartment, and then it was step 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't want to go up too fast, too far too fast, because you can get knocked down real quick too.
No.
Just take it easy, enjoy the process. To all you people
That's
out there,
good.
enjoy
the journey.
That was fire.
enjoy the process.
Uh-huh.
You'll miss a lot if you don't. Don't jump in bed with anybody right away. I know that's tempting, but you never know who might be knocking the door behind you and find you. Just enjoy the process every step of the way, because then nobody can tell you otherwise.
Yeah.
And
You heard it here first. Over in Howls over Baaz, we have 5 entrepreneur men and women here. We're going to close it out. Howls over Baaz. I'm Ronnie Adams.
How's over bad? Chicken crosses. Shoddy. Take it away, Shoddy.
So this is only for my viewers on the live stream, you guys. This is Shadi. Thank you for buying my apparel. I appreciate you guys for all the donations. Keep it going, you guys. You can't stop us. Love you guys. For How Over Baaz fan, you guys don't know me. I'm the production manager.
Yeah.
That's the first time you guys see me on the screen.
Yeah.
We got the executive producer, the host, Jacob Casas. We have Ronnie Adams right here, the co-host. We have Rico. This is the core team making this happen. Start donating to our channel too. How Over Baaz. That's us. That's us, people.
We on.
We're out.
We're out.
Hit him.
We'll be right back. We'll be right back. Gotta hear the beat though. I want to see him howl right now.